Hey everybody, it's Justin from Built, and today we're going to be continuing our 3D versus wood series where we make the same exact holder both with wood and with a 3D printer and see how the results come out. It's not specifically a verse, but just different options for different folks, right? Now, I actually like this series because it's a good opportunity for me to showcase different equipment as I do this. So for this video, Artillery sent me out their newest 3D printer, so thank you very much, Artillery. It hasn't even hit the market yet. It's a pre-release, so that's pretty cool. I'm a little YouTuber, so I'm impressed that I got a pre-released item. This is the Sidewinder X4 Pro. It's their newest fast printing 3D printer, and it's going to be coming in at around $319. So excited to see how this does in the video. We're going to be making a wooden screwdriver and accessory holder for the wall. And then we'll also be 3D printing that. And then I'm going to 3D print some more shop-based stuff with this as well because we need to put it through its paces and see how it comes out. So let's get into it today on Built. So for the wooden tool holder, I actually milled some wood that I cut down in my own yard. This was a tree that I cut down 2 years ago. I have a whole bunch of it. I dried it out and it's been way up on a shelf just bundled and drying for 2 years, and so I figured, you know what, I'm going to use it for this project, and it actually looks really, really nice. I wish it would keep the purple color that it has right now on the top, but I know it's going to disappear in about 2 hours. The purple color is really cool. Now, the reason why I used a piece of wood that I had to basically do a lot of work for right now is because I wanted something thicker. I want the piece that you're going to put your tools through to at least be an inch. This is 1.25 inches or 33 millimeters. And the reason why you want something thicker is if it were really thin like this, and I go to insert my tool through it, it doesn't have enough surface to press against. So it's actually gonna wiggle and move around, and it's not gonna sit straight up. It's gonna go like this. So by using a thicker piece of wood, you get a lot more surface area. So once it's inserted, it's gonna stay just like this, not like this, which makes it a lot nicer looking and organized. So what we need to do is plot out where all of our tools are gonna go on this. So this takes a little bit of time. I recommend bringing over a stool, making a big pile of all the tools, and you're gonna have to, use a straight edge and definitely a pair of calipers because you want to get this right. I'm remaking one that I already have because I bought, or I was given as a gift, a new set of, hand tools. And so they're color coded. I like that. There's 4 different colors, but they have really big handles. And so when I insert them into my existing one, they do not fit well. They're kind of bumping into each other. So what you're going to want to do with your digital calipers is you want to look at the part that's going to be inserted and find if there is any sort of piece that flares out. So on this Phillips head, it does not, but on this flat head, it actually flares right here. So I'm gonna measure from the flare so that I get the widest piece, and I'm at 10.7 millimeters or 0.42 inches. Is that correct? Okay. Now, I'm going to want to add a teeny bit to that and then select my drill bit based on that because it obviously needs to be a hole that's big enough, not too big, but just the right size. So I'm going to mark that down for each one of the hole placements. And then I need to actually take some time to think about the spacing between my next hole. As you can see, I have very different sized screwdrivers. As far as the handles go. So you have to pay attention to the thickness of this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the 2 that will be next to each other, obviously the 2 biggest ones, and I'm going to use my calipers and measure from the center to the center, which in this case is 1.4 inches or 35.6 millimeters. And I'm going to add 1 millimeter or 0.04 inches to that number to increase the gap a little bit, leave a little bit of an air gap. It's really, really small. It's like that. You can probably barely see that on the camera, but that will at least space the tools a little bit so they're not touching, but they're definitely not going to be impeding on each other. So that's going to be from the center of the drilled hole to the next center of the drilled hole. Rinse, wash, repeat, continue to do this all the way across the board. I will include at the end of the video a photo with all of my numbers. If you don't want to spend the time and you just want to copy exactly what I did, cool, go for it. Especially maybe for like the section where I put all of the hex-based bit items, because that's going to be universal. I will also have a CNC file for this as well for available for download if you want to directly copy or take what I have and alter it a little bit for yourself. All right, let's open up and build this printer. Attach the gantry to the base. Install the screen mount and the screen. It's attached magnetically. Attach the carbon fiber tie rods. These will help reduce vibration during fast printing. Ceremoniously, the usual first thing you print with a new printer is a benchy. And so I printed this one with the white filament that was included, and it took 37 minutes. That is obviously not its top speed, or else we'd probably be down in the 20-minute range, but this was the file that was pre-saved on the memory stick of the machine. It came out really good. I will say that there's a little bit of a line on the one side over here, but otherwise I think it's an excellent print. One other thing I forgot to mention about layout is we are going to be making a slight beveled cut at the top of this. That way, instead of your shelf sitting directly straight on, it's going to actually tilt forward a little bit. That presents your tools to you in a better fashion. I like that way a little bit better. But because we're doing that, you need to make sure that you are not putting a hole within about an inch of the top of your board, or 25 millimeters or so. Otherwise, you might run the risk of impacting into your backer. Now that we have all the holes plotted out for your design, you need to drill the holes. So you could either use a hand drill, preferably you want to use a drill press, or in my case, I have a CNC machine. So I will be doing the CNC machine, and I'll provide you the CNC files at the end. But I do want to show you the drill press. And if you're going to use a drill press, I highly recommend using a Forstner bit for this project. Forstner bits make very clean entrances when you're drilling into the wood, so less risk of tear out. And then the actual cylinder inside will be very clean, as opposed to your standard drill bit, which has more of the bore hole mentality to it. Additionally, when you're using this though, especially if you're using it on a really thick piece of wood like this, you're going to plunge it and then pull up to eject the chips. You can't just plunge it all the way through. You will end up binding and most likely causing a whole bunch of smoke and burning inside that hole. So this doesn't have the same ejecting capability as most of your standard bits do. So you have to do small impacts and bring it up to eject the chips. Now, one other cool thing is it has this pointed center piece. And so on the drill press, you can set your stop so that the drill bit will just slightly poke through the wood on the other end and then stop you. You don't want to go all the way through with this bit, because experience has shown me a lot of times you get a lot of tear out on the back, on the exit of the hole, even if you have it supported. So what a great thing about this bit does is it makes a small little hole and it tells you exactly where it is. So what you can do is flip over your wood afterwards and then finish your hole up from the other side, and you'll have a very clean exit and entry hole. Overall, the print came out pretty nice. It's functional. You could add a French cleat here with these two mounting holes, or just screw it to the wall if you wanted to. This is a free file that somebody had uploaded, not one that I designed. Now, there were two issues with this print. The two front corners peeled up a little bit, and that's from it releasing from the bed earlier. And so what I'll probably do on the next print is add a brim around it just to prevent that. You know, normal 3D printer thing. And then there is also a little bit of a issue right here in the front, but it did correct itself and keep going, which is good. I did print this on fast, so if you want more precise printing, you slow down the speed. The numbers that are on the front right here, I printed it like this. If you did rotate it like this, you could pause the printing when it reaches the numbers right at the end here and swap out your filament color, maybe to white or something, and then each one of these letters would be a different, numbers would be a different color in the front and be a lot more visible. But this was just a test print for me just to see how it came out, so I wasn't going all crazy with it. I next printed a wall-mounted chisel holder, and I really like this design more than I even thought I did after I printed it. It's really robust. It was only 45 minutes to print this, and it actually holds all my chisels. I have like 5 different sets, and I checked all the sets, and they all fit in here. So this is pretty good. So I actually am gonna print it one more time because I wanna experiment with wood filament. Yes, you can kind of print wood with a 3D printer. So this one's Creality, but a whole bunch of different brands have it. And so this filament is 30% sawdust and then 70% PLA. So supposedly what you're able to do is more easily sand it. PLA is difficult to sand, and it should be able to take stains. So I'm interested to see that. It also might not be every brand that can do that, but I've seen it done. So I'm interested to try that out. And if that works on this, then I'm going to use it on our main print for this video. We have all of our holes cut. So the next step is to cut a 60-degree shaving off just the top edge of this board. That way, instead of it presenting itself like this, it will pivot forward to kind of show off the tools a little bit more. To do that, I set my fence to 5 1/4 inches, or that's 133 millimeters. And I placed my blade at a 60-degree angle. So now we're just going to make this cut. So I printed the holder with the wooden filament. It came out pretty interesting. Now, I added this brim at the bottom just to make sure that, you know, it didn't peel up in the corner. So the print came out overall perfect, but it does have a lot of stringing and lines right here, which I think is more due to the filament. First thing you can use is one of these tools, and that cleans this up super nice. I'll continue to do that, but I wanted to see how this works with sandpaper by hand. So we're going to take a real close-up look over at this last one here. All right, that really only took a couple seconds, and it feels perfectly smooth. You can still see the layer lines in there, but I think that's okay. So this came out pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and continue to work on this and see what the final product looks like. All right, so I spent about 5 minutes of sanding, and it came out pretty good. If you have any white residue, just as in with sanding, normal wood, you just use a tack cloth and it cleans off pretty good. I'm going to go ahead now and do a hardcore experiment and just go ahead and dip it into this espresso colored stain just to see what's going to happen. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3. And I do see some color difference. Now, if we wipe it away right away, do we see that big color line between both pieces? No. So I'm now, just for experimenting purposes, I'm just going to go ahead and leave this in here for, let's say, a minute. All right, so it's been a minute. Obviously, you would never do this, but I'm trying to just see if the material is porous, where it's actually going to take it. Let's say nothing noticeable. So that's interesting. Now, again, this was one particular brand's. I have seen it done. So I'm going to say possibly that it's this specific Creality brand, but overall it did sand really well, so I am happy about that. It's time to glue our main board to our shelf piece. So we have our 60-degree angle. We're going to go ahead and glue this right to the edge of that. Now, to do that in the best way, I'm going to take some painter's tape, give it some extra strips in this direction. Let it kind of hang here. I've applied a good amount of glue to both sides of the joint. I'm now going to make sure that I get them perfectly together. And this is just a method to help aid me before clamping. The glue has dried. I actually added in a black epoxy inlay to this to make those icons look a little better, although a piece of dust got in there. But it's a shop thing, so I'll deal with it. So it's time to put it to the backer. I made a mark at 2 inches on both sides. I'm going to go ahead and glue it down, but It's a really weird angle. It's hard to clamp. It's hard to support. So the way I'm going to do this is I'm going to apply wood glue, but I'm also going to apply CA glue to this and then spray accelerator on the back. I'll place it down and hold it for about 15 seconds, and then the CA glue will have dried to the point where I can then lift this up on its side where it will be stable like this. And then I'm going to do some countersink holes in the back and screw in some screws to this just to make sure we're good and stable, just because I can't get a clamp on this right. So I'm not going to get that pressure in order to make sure that we get a teeny bit of glue squeeze out and good coverage. So screws it is. The backer is affixed. Surprise, it's also a desktop unit if you want it to be. However, if you do that, you can't put really long stuff like screwdrivers through here because it will touch the table. But this will sit on the tabletop too. If you want to wall mount it, I suggest putting screws in back here. If you get 2 screws into, something solid behind here like a stud, it will fully hold everything. You don't have to worry about it tipping over, so you don't have to put the screws up here. There is one last step that I have in the cut sheet, so I wanted to mention it for you, but I'm not going to do it, and that's because it's adding this little piece of wood here to make a little shelf, and that's how my old one that I have here did it, and it's good for holding like bit sets like this. You can put a couple of them at the top. The reason why I'm not going to do it right now is I cut this piece off of this board, and look at how much the color has changed to where if I put it here, it's going to look funny. I really like the color that's still on here. I'm hoping it's going to stay, so I'm going to seal all this now, hoping that it will retain it, but I'm sure it will fade. If it does fade to this, I'm going to go ahead and put this on. But for now, I think I want to keep it pretty and leave it like that because I really like the color of this wood, how it turned out. So if you want to add your little cubby shelf here, you just affix this with CA glue, preferably because it's really thin. You want it to dry quick. You just affix this right here, and then you have your 2 little spacers that go on both sides. The Artillery Sidewinder X4 Pro has finished printing all of our designs. We have the 2 end pieces. You can actually put these 2 together on their own, or you can include the middle piece, and so they just slide in together. You're going to want to put a little dab of glue on the inside to permanently lock them in place. And you can actually even print multiples of this middle piece if you want to, and it'll just keep daisy chaining along. When I was doing the kind of prototyping of this one, I made it really skinny. And as we talked about earlier with the wood version, that's not the best case for the tool. It was for the filament because I was trying not to use a ton of filament in the print, but I definitely changed it around and switched it over to a thicker design here. Now, one other thing that I learned with doing this, and I'm learning 3D printing too every day. Every time you print something and you're playing with settings and you're learning how to do things, you're expanding your knowledge in it. So it's all about doing with whether it's woodworking, 3D printing, whatever. I originally put a support back here just to keep it rigid, but this ended up having to have a lot of support material as a waste. So for this design, I have the support slots in here, and you can print the supports separately and then just glue them into place. And so it saves a ton of filament doing it this way. But now that I've actually made it this thick, I've played around with this already, and it's really rigid. So I don't even think it needs the supports anymore, but the file's there in case, maybe you're using something really heavy on here and you feel you need it. Overall, I would say the print quality on this one was maybe like a 95 out of 100. So I think that's pretty good, and I did it on a fast setting. I do want to point out, and this is more of the filament, not the printer, I had a little bit of like a glob right here, and so I sanded it, but now it's leaving obvious scratch marks. So either I have to feather that a lot better with the sanding, or I'm going to have to sand the entire surface just to keep it, the same look as it goes across. I am a little bit disappointed in the filament, not the printer, but the filament that it didn't accept stain. I don't want you to think that that's all wood filaments because I've seen it done. So I'm going to say this Creality filament that I purchased, which was $32 for a roll. It was very expensive. I don't feel like this one accepts stain. So I'm going to purchase a couple other ones for another video, and hopefully we'll get one that gets a nice result for that. Let's finish up by looking at the Artillery Sidewinder X4 Pro. So I have been used to more of your beginner-centric 3D printers up until now, and so this is more of your mainstream bed slinger, your workhorse type of printer that you might see a whole row of them in a print farm somewhere. So I was interested to see if the skills and knowledge that I had learned using those other ones will now translate over to your more standardized type of printer, and I can say it did, which is great. I did have problems though the very first night setting up. Now, part of that is that this is a pre-release version. I'm only on Mac, and they only had Windows version of their software available at the time. So to their credit, though, they worked for a solid week just for me to get their Mac version done, and they did. And then once I started playing with the Mac version, it was super quick and easy. It is a Prusa fork. But for that first night, though, I had to download third-party software. There were no profiles for this yet because it doesn't exist. So I had to come up with everything, and additionally to that, I had a little bit of problem getting the bed leveling worked out. But once I got everything set up, once I got the bed leveling working fine, it has been cooking since then. So all of my prints have come out fine. I have not had spaghetti mess. I've not had any failures. In addition to what you see, I had a whole bunch of prototype 2 when I was working on these. And so I feel like, okay, this is a reliable machine once I had it all set up and working. But the setup was a little bit difficult for me, but that might be a me thing too. If you're more experienced in these than me, then, probably a lot easier. So taking a look at this machine, I think probably the big thing that jetted out to me, it was very smart to put these support rails in. This print head moves fast. I have other printers that are the same speed. For some reason, I feel like the print head moves faster than they do. So when you have a machine that's going like this super fast, adding more rigidity and support into the gantry here is definitely going to help limit any of that vibration going into your prints. So definitely a good thought on that. I really like the color touchscreen that is on this bungee cable because when I went to put this in my enclosure, it was actually a little too big this way. So I had to turn it sideways. So now I could just take the screen and do it like this and print out a nice little mount for it to go that way. So that was very nice. It has Wi-Fi, and I know some people don't want to use that from a security perspective, but I give away all my files for free on these videos. So I like the convenience of Wi-Fi, so I'm very happy that they have it on here. It, of course, also has USB-C and USB standard on here as well. 300-degree hot end, metal linear rails, has a rubberized nozzle cleaner in the back. I like that. And it does have auto bed leveling. In addition to that bed leveling, though, you still do have your bed leveling knobs underneath. So you have to do the rough leveling first manually, and then the machine will do the auto bed leveling through its software all the time from that point. So hopefully that will reduce the amount of leveling that you have to do, because every once in a while you'll probably have to tweak the manual ones, but the software will then compensate from that point on. The X4 Pro is currently selling for $319. It will be shipping at the end of January, beginning of February 2024, and they do have a deal going on between now and January 31st. If you order this printer in that time frame, you can add a 5-pack of PLA filament, 5 kgs, and you'll get that for free along with the printer. So that's a $65 value of free filament, so that's pretty cool. So if you're interested, check them out at artillery3d.com. So thank you very much, Artillery, for sending this out. I'm really excited to play with a whole bunch of different printers, so I'm hoping I can get some more printers and other videos like this. And so maybe there's some cool things that you'll learn about these printers, because I have fun playing with all these machines too. So it's a good time for me. All of my files are linked down below, so if you want to download anything, print it, go ahead. You can also have free range to alter them to your heart's content. Good with me. And of course, right after this, I'm going to have the cut sheet for the wood parts for the wooden tool holder as well. So I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, like and subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. It's what helps me out. And of course, stay safe in the shop. I'll see you in the next video.